Carol Burnett made millions laugh, but 5 men made her cry in ways she never showed the world. Behind America's favorite smile lived anger that burned for decades, grudges she held until her final years, and pain from men who should have protected her but chose to hurt her instead. The first man Carol hated was the biggest movie star of his generation. Marlon Brando was untouchable in Hollywood. Everyone wanted to work with him. Everyone wanted his approval. But Brando did something to Carol that crossed every line, and she never forgot it. This happened in the summer of 1972, right after The Godfather made Brando more famous than ever before. Carol was sleeping at home one night when her housekeeper woke her up in a panic. The phone would not stop ringing. Carol answered it half asleep, and heard a slow, deep voice that she recognized immediately. It was Marlon Brando calling her. At first, Carol actually laughed because she thought one of her friends was playing a joke on her. Everyone in Hollywood loved doing impressions of famous people. But then Brando said something that made her realize this was not a joke at all. He told Carol she would be even better at her job if she loosened up like the actresses he had spent time with. That sentence was not a compliment. It was something darker. It was the kind of thing a powerful man says when he thinks nobody can stop him from saying whatever he wants. Carol ended the call as nicely as she could, but her hands shook when she hung up the phone. The nightmare got worse the next morning. A reporter called Carol's publicist saying that Brando had been talking about Carol's personal qualities in a late-night conversation. Someone leaked the story to the press. Carol never asked for this attention. She never invited Brando to comment on anything about her. When a reporter asked Brando if the rumor was true, he smiled and said Carol took everything too seriously because comedians are just sensitive women. That answer told Carol everything. Brando did not respect her. He saw her as entertainment for himself. He treated her like a joke he could tell whenever he wanted. Carol told a friend 2 days later that she felt small and she had spent her whole life fighting against that feeling. From that day forward, Carol made one rule for her team. If Brando is going to an event, I will not be there. She followed that rule for 30 years until Brando died. She never stood in the same room with him again. The second man who earned Carol's anger was someone nobody expected. Cary Grant was Hollywood royalty. He had perfect manners, wore beautiful suits, and spoke with that famous charming voice. Everyone loved Cary Grant, but Carol never forgot the night he destroyed her in front of the most important people in the entertainment business. This happened in 1968 at a big fancy party at the Beverly Hilton Hotel. These parties were places where everyone pretended to be friends while secretly competing with each other. Carol had just become a huge star. Her television show was incredibly popular, and America loved watching her every week. Cary Grant was getting a Lifetime Achievement Award that night. He sat at the best table in the room, surrounded by other famous actors. When the ceremony ended, Carol walked over to congratulate him. She looked happy and relaxed. She had no idea what was about to happen to her. A movie director sitting next to Grant tried to be friendly. He asked Grant if he had seen Carol's show. He said Carol had the whole country laughing every week. Grant did not even pause. He smiled in a mean way and spoke loud enough that people at other tables could hear him clearly. He asked what people were laughing at. He said Carol just waved her arms and made funny faces. He said he could not understand why anyone thought that was good. Carol stopped moving. She had dealt with mean people before, but this was different. This was a legend, someone the whole world respected, saying her work meant nothing. Carol kept her face calm because she always stayed calm in public. But as she turned to walk away, Grant leaned over to Elizabeth Taylor, who was sitting right there, and said something even worse. He said Carol was not a real actress. He said she was just a housewife who got lucky. Those words were pure cruelty wrapped in fancy language. Carol did not fight back or make a scene. She just walked away quietly. But Hollywood talked about that night for months. Carol later told a friend that she did not hate Grant because he disliked her comedy. She hated him because he said those things specifically to embarrass her in front of everyone. 2 years later, a big movie studio wanted Carol to star in a musical comedy with Cary Grant. Carol said no immediately. Her managers begged her to change her mind. They said working with Grant could make her career even bigger. Carol said the same thing every single time they asked, "I will not work with a man who treats women badly." Grant never said he was sorry, and Carol never changed her mind about him. The third man Carol grew to hate was Lorne Michaels, the man who created Saturday Night Live. What makes this story strange is that Carol and Lorne never actually worked together. They never even met in person. But what Lorne said about Carol behind closed doors hurt her deeply, and the whole industry heard about it. The problem started in 1975 when Saturday Night Live first appeared on television. Carol was still the biggest comedy star on CBS. Almost every television critic said the same thing. Carol Burnett should host Saturday Night Live. That would be perfect. But it never happened. Not because Carol was too busy. Not because she said no. The real reason came from a private meeting at NBC. During a planning session for the show's second season, one of the editors suggested bringing Carol on as a host. He said it would be amazing and historic. Lorne Michaels supposedly leaned back in his chair, shook his head, and said something that spread through NBC immediately. He said, "Absolutely not." He called Carol the face of old television. He said she would only host his show over his dead body. That was mean enough, but Lorne kept going. Someone who was in that meeting remembered Lorne saying that Carol's type of comedy made Saturday Night Live look old and boring. He said his show was not a retirement home. Those words got back to Carol in just a few days. Carol did not scream or demand an apology. She just went completely quiet. She told people privately that she spent her entire life opening doors for women in comedy, and Lorne Michaels slammed one of those doors shut without even meeting her. Over the years, things got even stranger between them. NBC tried to put Carol in the show's 10th anniversary special, but Lorne wrote a note saying no. The note said Carol was not relevant, not funny, and not happening. Carol never saw that actual note, but she heard about it, and that was enough. In 2023, someone asked Carol if she was sad about never hosting Saturday Night Live. She smiled and gave a perfect answer. She said they did not need her, and she learned she did not need them either. That was Carol's way of getting the last word, and they never made peace. The fourth man on Carol's list surprised everyone because he was supposed to be her best friend. Harvey Korman worked with Carol for years. They performed together constantly. Audiences thought they were like family. Carol thought so too, until one awful day in 1974, when Harvey showed a side of himself Carol never knew existed. The explosion happened during a regular rehearsal at the television studio. A singer named Petula Clark had just finished practicing her part. The lighting crew was fixing their equipment, and Harvey was getting ready for a comedy sketch he had done many times. A lighting worker made a small mistake, and Harvey's spot on the stage went dark for a moment. That tiny error set off something ugly in Harvey. He threw his script on the floor hard and yelled at the crew. He asked them how hard their jobs could possibly be. Then he said the worst part. He said he was tired of cleaning up her mistakes. Carol heard every word. Harvey was not talking about the lights. He was talking about Carol, his partner, his friend, the woman who gave him a job that made him famous across the country. Everyone in the room went silent. Carol did not look mad. She looked hurt and shocked. She walked toward Harvey very calmly, like someone trying not to fall apart in front of everyone. She asked him quietly why he would talk to people that way. Harvey did not apologize. Instead, his voice got louder and angrier. He said maybe he was finished being second place on the Carol Burnett show. That sentence hurt more than the yelling. It showed Carol that Harvey had been jealous of her for a long time and she never knew. Carol walked away without saying anything else. She went into her dressing room and locked the door. She cried by herself. 3 days later, Harvey came back and apologized. He told Carol he forgot why he started doing comedy. Carol accepted his apology because she was a kind person. But she told another friend later that forgiving Harvey did not fix what broke between them. The show kept going. Their friendship did not. The fifth man Carol could never forgive was the one who hurt her the most because he was supposed to love her. Joe Hamilton was Carol's husband. He was also the producer of her show and her partner in building one of the most successful programs in television history. But Carol eventually learned that Joe was quietly stealing her work and her legacy without telling her. The betrayal started in 1982 when their marriage was already falling apart. Carol's lawyer found something wrong while looking at business papers. Joe had started a new company called Hamilton Productions. Under that company, he put several show ideas that came directly from sketches on the Carol Burnett show. One of those ideas was a show called Mama's Family, which was based completely on a character Carol created and played. But Carol was not listed as an owner or creator of anything. When Carol asked Joe about this at their office, she expected him to say it was a mistake. Instead, Joe did not deny anything. He sat back, crossed his arms, and said something Carol never forgot. He told her she was the talent and he was the brain. He said he was the one who knew how to handle business. That was not just rude. It was a confession. Joe had been planning to take Carol's creative work and use it for himself. Carol told a friend later that it felt like Joe ripped her heart out and put his name on it. But things got even worse. A few weeks later, Carol heard two people at CBS whispering in a hallway. They were talking about Joe being seen at expensive restaurants with a younger woman who worked as an editor. The affair itself was not what hurt Carol the most. What destroyed her was realizing the affair had been going on for years while she was working hard to keep their show successful and their family together. That night, Carol sat alone at home and said the truth out loud. She did not recognize the man she married anymore. The divorce happened soon after. Joe fought Carol hard in court. He said he deserved money from the show Carol built with her own talent and work. The legal battle went on for almost a year. It drained Carol emotionally and financially. When Joe died in 1991, Carol did not go to his funeral. She sent flowers and a note that said she hoped he found peace. But she told friends privately that some wounds never heal. They just become something you carry forever. Carol Burnett spent her life making people happy, but these 5 men left scars she carried in silence. She smiled through everything, performed brilliantly, and built a legacy that will never die. But she also remembered every betrayal and every moment of pain. Which story shocked you the most? Let us know below, and subscribe for more Hollywood secrets.